Phoenix here. Champions League full predictions for the upcoming edition. Everything you need to know, everything will be spoiled. Hang in there. The international break is about to come to an end. And of course, next week, the biggest club competition in world football returns. So, we'll be going through the 36 teams, and we will be ranking them accordingly to begin with, in how they will finish in the league phase, and then of course I'll tell you who will be winning the entire competition, as well as the dark horses to keep an eye on. So, I've simulated it, basically the full table, everything is done. We'll begin from 36 and upwards. At number 36, Slavia Praga are the team at the bottom. I'm so sorry, Slavia. I ran the algorithm, and that's what it spat out. Deepest, humblest apologies. Up next, I've got Kairat, who are there just above at 35. Obviously, again, no need to speak too much on these. At 34 is a team who, to be fair, I think I've slightly disrespected, but again, that's what the algorithm has spat out, which is Union Saint-Gilloise. Up next, I've got Karabakh. Again, obviously, with respect to these teams, I can't see them making it. The one thing with Union is, of course, they are the defending Belgian champions. They finish out of Club Rouge, who Club Rouge are a fantastic underrated team, but they have lost a couple of players, Union, so I believe they're set up more to struggle heading into this edition. Next up, I have gone with what many may deem as a surprise. Frankfurt. They've got tough fixtures. Like, again, we cannot argue with the algorithm. That's what it has spat out. At 31st, I've got Paphos. Where is their bench? There. Again, obviously, going to be very, very, very tough for them, I think, to get in the top 24. And I've got them being eliminated at the earliest stage. Up next, Ajax. I don't rate Ajax this season. I don't rate Ajax whatsoever. There's already big questions around their manager, Heitinga. I don't think they have easy fixtures whatsoever. They'll begin facing off against my team next week. And I think that will set the precedent for them for what will be a disastrous Champions League campaign for, I guess, what their standards and expectations are. Then at number 29, Sporting. Like, some would say I'm being harsh, but it's not the fact that they've lost Gyok Lesnar, because in Luis Suarez, not that one, the other one, they have a replacement who can still deliver goals. I don't think there's going to be an issue for them. But with Sporting, I just feel like when Amorant left last year, they kind of collapsed in the league phase. They just about got in. And this year, in my humble estimations, I do believe they're the third best team in Portugal. I've got both Porto and Benfica ahead of them. Obviously, Porto won't be playing in this edition. At number 28, Copenhagen. When you're up against these Scandinavian teams, especially in the months at which the league phase will be played, they're not going to be easy games away from home. So they'll pick up points at home, not enough to get them in the top 24, but enough to get them some points. At number 27, this one, I didn't feel right doing it. But I had no choice. I had no choice but to. PSV Eindhoven. I really rate PSV. And again, I think they'll win the Dutch League again this season. And obviously last season they eliminated Juventus. And against Arsenal, even though they got blissed completely, I do think that was a bit of a freakish couple of games. But in this edition, I think they've been met with some very tough fixtures. And as a result, the algorithm has spat out PSV to be eliminated in the very bottom phase, which, like I said, many will feel it will be a surprise. But again, we cannot argue with an algorithm that has given us so much success. Olympiacos up next at 26. They're on their way out as well. At number 25, the final team to be eliminated. And again, this one may come as a surprise. Atalanta. I don't like what's happening over there whatsoever. I think Juric may be sacked before even the Champions League could even begin. I don't think they've made the right purchases. They have their star player, Lookman, who is extremely unhappy. And as a result, I've got them being eliminated. The team that just about survives, Leverkusen, at 24. Obviously, again, they've sacked Erik ten Hag. Disgusting decision. Sickening even. I don't know enough about the new manager they've just made this week, actually. So that's going to be a big question in how he performs. Because, of course, Erik ten Hag, whatever your opinion of him is, the CV was there. It spoke for itself. Leverkusen, very lucky. You'll go in the knockouts, just about. At 23, Monaco, they've been given very tough fixtures, but they will just about survive. They have extremely talented players, and the big question, of course, for them is, can they get Paul Pogba and Ansu Fati in good enough conditions to be able to help them? Because they're going to need to, if they're obviously trying to juggle both competitions. But the talented players are there, and as always, watch out for Akiluche. I think he's a fantastic footballer. At number 22, is it 23? 22. Club Brugge. I have got them going through again. They've obviously caused big upsets last season, destroying Gasperini's Atalanta, the then Europa League champions, in dominating fashion. And even though they went out against Villa, they had some good games overall last season, and I think the same will continue. Yes, they've lost key players, especially Ashari, Jutgla a little bit less so, but they've replaced Yashari with Stankovic. Watch out for him. I think he's a fantastic player. Then I have Bodo Glimt, which many will be as a surprise. But again, at home, with that Astro pitch, with the conditions, they are going to pick up points. Enough points to progress to the next stage. Many will claim that's the biggest surprise. Not for me. Bodo Glimt to go through. Then, Borussia Dortmund. Listen, I gave my opinions about Dortmund in the transfer window. I think they've had a disgusting transfer window. But in Girassi, they have still, in my opinion, the most underappreciated striker in world football. This guy, just because, sure, he didn't peak early, but currently, right here, right now, he's easily amongst the top 5 for me, top 6 strikers in world football. Absolutely exceptional. And his goals will carry them. But the signings, like I said, that they've made, or rather lack of in the window, it will cost them. And I can't see them going higher, even though they have a great Champions League CV in recent years, of course. Vice European champions a couple of seasons ago. And last season, only went out to Barcelona. Up next, Newcastle United at number 19. Tough fixtures. Very tough fixtures. And there's a lot of uncertainty. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to gel as early as they need to. New signings. Walter Mace needs to settle early. Wissa needs to settle early. I'm not convinced by Elanga. Sure, they have a fantastic midfield. I'm not convinced about Ramsey's fitness. So I think there are question marks with Newcastle. And of course, juggling that in combination with Premier League fixtures will take its toll. But enough to go through, just not in the top 16. Speaking about 16th, or rather 18th, sorry, because we're at 18th. Bilbao, Athletic Bilbao. Much will depend on the fitness of Sansei. I've talked about him before. I think he is, contrary to what many believe, their star player. Nico Williams, as good as he is, Sansei is the player that takes them to the next level. And his injuries was the reason why they were unable to progress further in the Europa League last season. So his fitness, it will be key. But I've got them 18th. At 17th, Olympique de Marseille. De Zerbi's Marseille. I'm absolutely fascinated to watch them in the Champions League. I think they're the type of team where it doesn't matter the opposition. Like, they'll do much better against the bigger teams and probably worse against the smaller teams, is what I'm trying to get at. And I think it will follow, but they'll have a good campaign. to finish at 17th. Now, the players go into the playoffs, or the teams go into the playoffs home. So by home, obviously, it means that they'll have the second leg at home in the matchups against these teams. I have Benfica. The only reason they're not higher is because of the fixtures. Very, very tough. But I've given them an S tier. For me, they won the transfer window. They had an outrageous transfer window. They'll get in the top 16th. Like I said, only not higher because of the fixtures that they have. At 15th, Juventus. Juventus, and these are all going to finish on same amount of points, by the way. Juventus, who have decent fixtures, I think, very decent fixtures, but they're not going to go higher simply because defensively, they still have massive issues. Much will depend on the fitness of Bremer. If Bremer is out, they'll completely collapse. But the ones next to him, they're not good enough for Champions League football. But they will score goals. Of that, I'm convinced. Especially with the signings they made. Watch out for Sergov, of course. Jonathan David. Vlahovic is in good form. Openda. So I got firepower. And of course, Yildiz will be their star player. Up next, Galatasaray. That'll shock people. They last season I was disappointed with them in the Europa League because for me they should have gone all the way. They had a fantastic league campaign, got 90-something points. They've made decent purchases. I think Singo at the back will solidify them. But of course, making Osimhen a permanent signing. Icardi, if he can stay fit, which of course he couldn't last year. He had that terrible injury. Just enough to be there. Then Napoli. The question, of course, can Conte juggle the two competitions? The defending Italian champions, I've got them finishing 13th, to be exact. At 12th, my dark horses, I'll spoil it immediately. Villarreal. Villarreal, not easy fixtures, but I've mentioned in the transfer window video, they had a fantastic transfer window, and it will continue, and they'll reap the success from it in the Champions League as well. They can score goals for fun, but also, when needed, be solid defensively. Up next, I have the first big surprise, which are... Wait. Oh, there they are. Paris Saint-Germain. Obviously, last season, they won the Champions League, finishing, well, just about getting into the playoffs, really. They have been given easily the toughest draw in the entire Champions League. As a result, I love at the people that are putting them top 8. There's no chance PSG finish top 8. I can guarantee you that. Can Dembele repeat what he done last season? I have big question marks. I don't think they've recruited well enough. AFCON is, I don't know if that will directly clash with Champions League, but they haven't got a Hakimi replacement. If anything happens to him, they'll be finished. So for me, I think they're in trouble. They're going to be in trouble at least in the Champions League phase again. It's not going to be straightforward for them, especially with the fixtures they have. Up next, Atletico de Madrid. Nightmare start in the league La Liga. They haven't won a single game yet. But again, I don't think the two necessarily need to be mutually exclusive. I forgot to mention, by the way, I think, well, according to my algorithm, the amount of points required for teams in the top 24 will be 8 points. Just 8 points will be enough to send Leverkusen through. Top 16, I've got 13 points. And of course, I'll tell you as we head into the top 8. But basically, I've got Chelsea at 15th. Or sorry, Chelsea at 9th. Just about missing out in the top 8. And Chelsea will be on 15 points. 15 points, 9th. Yeah, I still have questions about Chelsea. More importantly, up front. They sure that the Club World Cup champions. I think 9th is the best case scenario for them. They haven't got the toughest of fixtures, apart from the Bayern and Barcelona matches. But the striker is a big worry for me. In the Champions League, you need that number 9 that's going to deliver and get you goals. They haven't got that. But their defensive solidity, their phenomenal midfield, it'll pick them up points, but not enough to get in the top 8. Why? Because top 8 will come as, again, many will deem as a surprise, not to me, Spurs. Spurs are in the top 8. They have incredible fixtures. And I think Thomas Frank, he will thrive in these type of matches. Where Thomas Frank will struggle is where I already predicted the games against Bournemouth, those type of games. Against bigger teams, I think the Spurs are set up perfectly to cause tremendous damage. Good defense solidity, physical midfield, and then the counter-attacking players. With the fixture list they have, top 8, 16 points Spurs will have. At number 7, Liverpool. Big questions defensively. Big questions. Kaiserslautern and Kerkes in the Champions League. Ooh. I dare them to rock up to the San Siro with that. But of course, on the other hand, the firepower that they will have going forward, they'll probably, them and Barca will have the best attack in the competition. They'll score the most goals. But their defensive fragility will not allow them to go higher than 7th. At 6th, my team, Inter. Decent fixtures. We should pick up in the first 4 matches the 12 points required, and then from then on should have enough to get to 16 points that I labeled. Of course, with Kivu, there's still major questions, major reservations. I didn't like our transfer window, but we have enough experience now. 2-time European vice champions in the past 3 years, enough to get in the top 8. At number 5, Manchester City. I keep laughing at the people disrespecting these guys. You wait, man. Incredible window. Good signing at the end with Donnarumma coming in. Obviously, incredible Champions League campaign last season. Okay-ish fixtures as well. Definitely enough to finish top 5. At number 4, Arsenal. I like their fixture list. I think it's enough. And they'll pick up points. They'll be, again, tough to score against. I got them finishing top 8 again, just like last season. The top 3 are those 3 you're looking at right there. At number 3, Real Madrid. They won't have the problems they had last season. No doubt, not with Xabi. A lot more solid defensively. And we're seeing early signs of the early pressing that he wants to implement that I think they'll triumph. They'll triumph with. At number 2, Bayern. I absolutely love the fixture list that they have. It's set up perfectly for them to be able to do what they usually do, apart from last year, which is dominate the group stages of the Champions League. And that means at number 1, with 20 points, undefeated, 6 wins, 2 draws, will be Football Club Barcelona. They, again, decent fixtures. They'll score goals for fun. They've got the world-class goalkeeper. A question at the back, sure. There's some questions left, but I think Rashford will thrive. Keep that in mind. I think Rashford, people are sleeping on him. He'll deliver. And as a result, Barca will finish number 1. Last year they finished 2. They'll finish 1. And for the first time, spoiler alert, Barcelona, the team that will finish number 1, will go on to win the Champions League. They're my team. They're my pick to win it. It's going to be very tough to eliminate Barca over 2 legs. Extremely tough. They got unlucky last season against us. But this year, with the goalkeeper they've brought in, I believe Araujo will turn up at the back. And they'll have extra firepower with Rashford. Yamal will go up another level. Pedri looks like he can even now. He's added even the ability to score goals. Balde and Koundé, if they can stay fit when it matters the most, I'm not seeing who will be able to eliminate them. I can't. My dark horses, Villarreal. I've got them reaching the top 8, as well as, of course, doing well in this league phase. That's all from the Phoenix. Best player will be Lamine Yamal. Top scorer, Kylian Mbappe. The final, before I say, I'll give you the final as well, because of course, why not? My final will be Barcelona versus Liverpool. Barcelona eliminating Liverpool in the final. And like I said, dark horses Villarreal. Top scorer Mbappe. Real Madrid will reach around about the top 4. Inter, unfortunately, will have an exit in the top 8. But obviously, the full predictions will continue going as the league phase will conclude. It's been a pleasure. Let me know anything you disagree with. Phoenix, and of course, tell me who you think will win the Champions League. Phoenix, out.